Every year, students and staff of Perry Central Community Schools honor those courageous men and women of the armed services. What follows is a tribute to those individuals from the Perry Central family. Kayla Kreutz, Sylvan May, U.S. Army E-5 Vietnam. Kim Aders and Kobe Aders. John Aders. Josh Vogus. Hubert Harpenow. Hubert Hauser. Robert Pfeiffer, Army. Seated with Clay Colton and Haley Mitchell, Rhett Smith, and Bria and Skylee Cummings. Danny Toothman, Army. Seated with Rhett Smith, Clay Colton, and Haley Mitchell. Rhett Smith and Clay Colton and Haley Mitchell. Erwin Toothman, Army Sergeant, World War II. Taylor Howell. Timmy Kelly, Army, 1957, Germany. Ava and Lane Hilgenhold. John Simon Hilgenhold, Army, 126th Infantry, World War I. John Carroll Hilgenhold, Army, 1st Brigade Infantry. Lacey, Madeline, and Owen Peter. Charles Paline, Army. Alvin Malone, Army. Selena and Michaela Goffnett. Donnie Goffnett, United States Marine Corps, Corporal, 1991, Desert Shield, Desert Storm. Mrs. Linda Freeman. Wendy Freeman, First Lieutenant, Army Reserves, Iraq. Mrs. Wanda Rowland. Reed and Glenda Hamilton, Army. Irvin Benson, Army Sergeant. Sheila Hargis and Josh Rogie. Vera Rogie, Army, World War II. Walt Whitmer, Marine Corporal, World War II. Haley Llewellyn. Kenneth Llewellyn, Army, Vietnam. Haley Foe. Ted Dunlap, Marine Corporal, Pacific Theater, World War II. Marine Captain, Korean War. Avery and Chloe Van Hoosier. Leroy Van Winkle, World War II. L. Taylor. L. Taylor and Rex Tucker, Army, Vietnam War. Braden and Jalen Achen, and Gabe and Garrett James. Nathan Achen, Marines. Mitch Brown. Tom Ernst, National Guard. Maddie Gray. Top photo, right side, Michael Gray, Navy. Bottom photo, left side, Robert Gray, Marines. Kelsey and Mrs. Nancy Paline. John Baker. Lois Sitzman. Robert Sitzman. Claude Sitzman. Harold Sitzman. Chase and Caleb Hubert. Mark Dilger, Navy. Petty Officer 2nd Class, E-5. Al Dilger, Army, Korean War. Mrs. Patty Gelhausen, with Cole Harpenow and Kendra and Nolan Gelhausen. Daniel Gelhausen, Sergeant, U.S. Army, 9th Infantry Division, Vietnam. Skyland Meredith. Paul Pirard, Army. Mrs. Bev and Madison Alvey. Randall Pollard, U.S. Navy, Machine Mechanic 1st Class. Mrs. Peggy and Garrett Thomas. Gilbert Williams, Sergeant, U.S. Army, 101st Airborne, Korean War. Garrett Thomas and Cage Kiplinger. On the left, Corporal James B. Lewis, Marines, and Corporal Travis N. Drake, Marines. Glendon Hayes and Bryce Douglas. Lonnie R. Hayes, Army, Specialist 4, Vietnam. Lane and Bryce Canarium. From left to right, Jerome Canarium, Army Sergeant E5, Vietnam. Russell E. Flamian, Army Air Command Staff Sergeant, World War II. Jerry James Persinger, Vietnam. Skyland Meredith. Gary Meredith, U.S. Army. Alyssa Hill. Eric Hill, PFC, Army, Desert Storm. Rhett Smith. Jack Garvin, Navy. Brittany Wright. From left to right, John Brunner, Navy. Linda Wright, Army. Chuck Goodman, Navy. Tinley Jones. Justin Aitchen, Marines, World War II. Clay Mitchell. Roy Mitchell, Air Force. Emily P. Witt. Sergeant Brian Flamian, U.S. Army, Persian Gulf, OEF-4, Afghanistan. Dakota Lemcooler. Chris Lemcooler. Kyle Liebering. Richard Liebering, Army, Vietnam. Christopher Wilkins. Leslie Wilkins, Air Force, Iraqi Freedom. Cade Peter. John and Imogene Bachhold, PFC, Army, Korean War. Eldon Austin. Charles Ellis, Army Special E Helicopter 1st Gunman, Vietnam. Zoe and Bill Robertson. From left to right, Glenn Robertson, U.S. Army, POW. Clifford Robertson, U.S. Navy, World War II. John Robertson, U.S. Army, World War II. Alan Robertson, U.S. Army, Vietnam. Alexia Schreiner. Homer Sprinkle, Army. Kelsey McAllister. Cody Seifert, Corporal, Marines, Iraq. Emily Binkley. Kenneth Binkley, Marines, Korean War. Lane and Mrs. Pam Hilgenhold. Nolan Williams, Army, Specialist 3rd Class, Cold War. Cameron Zellers and Jace French. Don Aitchen, Army, Vietnam. Angel Garrett. Robert Allen. Jonathan, Jill, and Jarrett Tice. Herman Tice, Navy. Blake Polk. Dwayne Leaf, Army, SP4.